Hello everyone. Now in this session we are going to continue the working of two cavity klystron amplifier. In the last video we have seen the general working where we have seen that velocity modulation process carries out inside the drift space of the two cavity klystron and catcher cavity produces the power amplified output at its terminals and electron beam is collected at the collector. Now how velocity modulation process or bunching process exactly happens, that we are going to see in this session. So for analyzing this entire process we are making certain assumptions. First one is that the electron beam that is radiated from the cathode is considered to have a uniform density. So whatever electron beam we are transmitting, it will have a uniform density. The second, the space charge effects are considered to be negligible. The space charge effect means the drift space which is present between two cavities, it will be free of any kind of electric field. Okay, so space charge effects are negligible. There will be no electrons in there. So field free space is available in the drift space, that we are assuming. Then third one, the magnitude of microwave input signal is assumed to be much smaller than the accelerating voltage. Okay, so microwave input, that is our RF input, will be much smaller than the DC applied voltage. Okay, that is the third assumption. Now let's see the actual velocity modulation process. So this is the diagram which we are going to use for analyzing the actual velocity modulation process. So this is slightly different from the previous diagram that we have seen. Now if you observe, we are applying input here instead of at the lower part of the cavity and taking output from here. So it doesn't matter where we are applying, whether here or here, it doesn't matter. So this is how we are applying the input and taking out the output. Now cathode, as shown over here, this is the responsible for emitting electron beam with a uniform density. Okay, and DC applied voltage, this is V0, is applied to this part of a cavity to the grid. Now this will generate a magnetic field, and this magnetic field which appears across this drift space will focus this electron beam through the length of the tube towards the catcher cavity. Okay, so magnetic field is responsible for focusing electron beam through the drift space towards the catcher cavity. Okay, so that is how beam will travel through the drift space. Okay, so the electron beam enters the buncher cavity with velocity small v0. Okay, that should be initial velocity, and it leaves the buncher cavity with velocity v of t1. At the bottom of your diagram you will see distance scale and time scale. The gap, that is this gap, buncher cavity gap, distance is 0 to d, that means d. Okay, well, electron beam enters the gap at time t0 and leaves the gap at time t1. So we are calling this velocity outside the gap of the buncher cavity as a v of t1. Then it is shown as I of t1, that is current associated with that electron beam, because current is nothing but a flow of charges and these are electron charges. So that is shown over here as I of t1. Then it enters the catcher cavity at time t2. The distance between entry point of catcher cavity gap and exit point of buncher cavity gap is L plus D, because this space is drift space is having a length of capital L. Okay, and this is the D. So L plus D is a distance from start of a velocity modulation process and end of a velocity modulation process. Okay, and then finally when electron beam is removed from the bunching part and kinetic energy of electrons is transferred to the grids, generating a voltage which we take as a output. Then at the finally at the distance of L plus 2d at time t3 we collect the electron beam which are at the collector. Okay, now this is the scenario in which we are going to operate. Time scale is shown, distance scale is shown, the length between the two cavities is also shown, the drift space where we are giving input is also shown. So let's move on to now velocity modulation. So the electrons are first accelerated by high DC voltage capital V0 before entering the buncher grids. So their velocity is uniform and it is given by small V0, which is given by this formula. Now from where this formula has come? Now initially electrons travel with velocity V0 that we have seen. Now the potential energy of these electrons is E into capital V0. V0 is a DC applied voltage and E is a charge on the electron. This is potential energy which will be equal to now kinetic energy. Now kinetic energy is given by 1/2 m into velocity of these electrons square. Okay, when potential energy is equal to kinetic energy, that means they are traveling with their steady velocity. So if we rearrange this equation, we can find out equation for small v0. So it comes out to be this one. Okay, m is a mass of electron, E is a electron charge, capital V0 is a applied DC voltage, and small v0, which is in Greek letter, is velocity of electron after emitted from the cathode without change in its original velocity. So it is assumed that electrons leave the cathode with zero velocity. Okay, so this is V0. When microwave signal, because microwave signal is applied to the input terminal of the gap voltage between the buncher grids, appears as, so this is the equation for microwave signal, which is given by Vs is equal to V1 sine omega t. So normal sinusoidal wave we are assuming, where V1 is the amplitude of that microwave signal, and this V1, this is very important, is very small than the applied DC voltage. So applied DC voltage may be very large compared to the applied microwave input signal. So since this is DC, I am showing it in a straight line. Okay, so this is important. Now we have microwave input, we have unchanged velocity V0, and we have the condition for amplitudes of a microwave input and DC voltage. Now let's see how velocity modulation occurs. In order to find that modulated velocity in the buncher cavity in terms of either entering time or exiting time and the gap transit angle, it is necessary to determine average microwave power or average microwave voltage in the buncher gap as indicated in the following figure. So let's look at the figure. Okay, this is our Vs, which is shown over here as a sinusoidal signal, that is microwave input. Now when this Vs enters into the buncher cavity, we have to calculate how modulated velocity will be modulated when it travels the distance from time t0 to time t1. So that is shown over here, as you can see, t0 to t1. The distance between these 2 points is small d. Now as you can see, the voltage is changing at certain rate, so it is continuously changing. So we have to calculate average microwave voltage in this particular buncher gap. This process occurs in the buncher gap, that's why we are calculating inside the t0 to t1. And when we find out the average microwave voltage, we will get to know that it is velocity modulated. So let's see that how we are going to do this calculation. So since microwave input voltage is too much less than DC voltage, average transit time through the buncher gap distance d is given by, now time is equal to distance upon velocity. So tau is a time inside the gap, d is a length of a gap, that is distance between entry and exit point of a gap, and v0 is a velocity of a electron beam. and that is given as t1 minus t0. That is quite obvious. We have seen that in the diagram. So tau is nothing but t1 minus t0. We can rearrange this one for t1 equal to t0 plus tau. Okay, so tau, this is rearranged. Okay, we will require this rearrangement. So the average gap transit angle can be expressed as, now gap transit angle means voltage is changing continuously like this one. So there must be some angle associated with it that happens inside the gap. That's why it is gap transit angle. So gap transit angle is given by angular velocity into the time for which we are considering this particular change in voltage. So omega into tau. Tau, as we know, is t1 minus t0. So omega into tau is equal to omega into t1 minus t0. But t1 minus t0 is nothing but d upon v0. Okay, I will rub this and rewrite the equation. T1 is equal to t0 plus tau. Okay, so this equation has come from this relation. Okay, so gap angle is equal to omega d upon small v0. Okay, now let's continue. The average microwave voltage which we have to find out and from which we will show the velocity modulation, it can be found in the following way. So average microwave voltage can be found by using integration over a time period of t0 to t1. So how it will happen? So 1 upon tau integration of t0 to t1 and equation of microwave input voltage, that is v1 sine omega t with respect to time. So sine, integration of sine is cos, minus of cos. So you can see here minus of v1 is a constant, so v1 is taken out. Cos of omega tau is taken downwards, tau is already present, omega is taken outside, and cos of omega t, now it will be integrated. So I will write cos of omega t over a time t0 to t1. So omega t1 minus omega t0. That is what it is shown. Simple integration calculation. So if we rearrange this, minus sign taken outside, v1 upon omega tau cos of omega t0 minus, because now this is a minus, cos of omega t1 is now converted into, this should be omega t0, not omega 0. So minus cos of omega t0. So omega t1 is equal to omega t0 plus omega tau. Omega t0 plus omega tau, tau is d upon v0. So you can refer this equation. I will rewrite this. Using this equation, we can rearrange omega t1 is equal to omega t0 plus omega tau. Okay, tau is nothing but d upon v0. So this is used over here. Okay, so that is the rearrangement that we have done. Okay, I hope this is clear up to this point. Now let's move on to the next process. So we are going to further reduce this. So let's assume that omega t0 plus omega d upon 2 v0 is equal to omega t0 plus theta g by 2, and it is assumed to be A. Now what we are going to see, this term we are going to divide into two parts. Omega d upon 2 v0 plus omega d upon 2 v0. That will become omega d upon v0, 1 half plus 1 half is equal to 1. So I am dividing this particular term in these two parts. So what will happen? Omega t0 plus omega d upon 2 v0 plus omega d upon 2 v0. Three terms will be there, out of which these two terms are considered as A. Omega t0 plus omega d upon 2 v0 is considered as A, and this term is considered as B. Okay, that's what it is said. See here, omega t0 plus omega d upon 2 v0 is considered as A, and omega d upon 2v0 is considered as b. Okay, now this is omega d upon 2v0 is considered as theta g by 2. This will be also required in the further explanation. Okay, so if we do that a and b, what will be this equation now? Now omega t0 plus omega d upon 2v0 is a. So a plus b, what it will be? A plus b is nothing but this term, and a minus b will be nothing but this term, that is omega t0. So cos of a minus b minus cos of a plus b. Now we know the trigonometric formula for this type of function. So we have rearranged this into cos of a minus b minus cos of a plus b. I hope this is clear. This is a plus b and this will be a minus b. Okay, so then using the trigonometric identity of cos of a minus b minus cos of a plus b, that is 2 sin a sin b. So we get Vs is equal to V1 into, now sin a is what? Omega t0 plus theta g by 2, or omega t0 plus omega d upon 2v0. That's what it is written over here. Okay, and sin b, so that will convert into, in terms of theta g, v1 sin theta g by 2 upon theta by g by 2 into sine of omega t0 plus theta g by 2. Again same identities used over here, which you can see. Refer these identities again, or this is abbreviations again. So this is the equation that we are getting. Now one important thing, this sine theta g by 2 upon theta g by 2 is considered as bi, Greek letter beta I, okay, which is known as beam coupling coefficient of the input cavity gap. This is very important formula. Beta I is considered as a sine theta g by 2 upon theta g by 2, known as beam coupling coefficient of input cavity gap. So if we substitute beta I over here, it becomes V1 into beta I multiplied by sine of omega t0 plus theta g by 2. Okay, increasing the gap transit angle theta g decreases the coupling between the electron beam and the Buncher cavity. Obviously, if we increase the theta g, then beta I value will decrease because it is also in the denominator and without sinusoidal or trigonometric function of sine. So if we increase theta g, beam coupling coefficient will decrease and beam coupling indirectly will decrease. That is velocity modulation of the beam for a given microwave input signal is decreased. Beam coupling coefficient is nothing but a velocity modulation. Why it is called as velocity modulation? Let's see that. Now velocity modulation is after the velocity modulation, the exit velocity from the Buncher gap is given by v of t1. Now we are saying this velocity modulation, we will show that why it is called as a velocity modulation. So the exit velocity from the Buncher gap is given by v of t1. Now how this is come along? V of v0, we have seen the formula, square root of 2e v0 upon m. Okay, now at t1 velocity is going to be increased because of modulation that we have assumed now. Now it will be given by capital V0, this is a DC voltage, plus the applied signal, microwave input signal, beta V1, beta I into V1 sine of omega t0 plus theta g by 2. This term, second term, is come from this particular part. This particular part, V1 into beta I sine of omega t0 plus theta g by 2. So that is shown over here. So everything is under the square root. Now where this square root come from? From the initial formula we have seen, it is square root of 2ev0 upon m, that was at initial velocity. Same formula for v of t1. Now instead of simply v0, now additional input of microwave input is also considered over here. So if we use that, then if you observe beta v1 upon v0, if you take out v0 outside the bracket, here we will have a v0 in a denominator, that is capital V0 I am talking about. Okay, so this beta I into v1 upon v0 is called as depth of velocity modulation. Okay, now why we are calling this as a velocity modulation? The exiting velocity is greater than the entering velocity, because now additional microwave input is also part of the exit velocity, and that's why the depth of velocity, which is shown by this one, why it is called as depth of velocity, because this parameter decides how much velocity will increase or decrease when electron beam comes out of the input buncher cavity. Okay, and it is proportional to what? The microwave input signal, because this entire term is a microwave input signal. So in proportion to microwave input signal, exit velocity will change, and that is the reason it is called as a velocity modulation. Now we have to remember that V1, capital V1 is so less than capital V0, that is input signal, microwave signal is less than DC voltage. So since this is a square root, that means raised to 1 by 2. We have to use binomial expansion for calculation of actual exit velocity. So 1 plus x raised to n. Use binomial expansion for this one. Then we can consider, since n is 1 by 2, we have to ignore the higher order terms because it will keep on decreasing, and as this one is the case that if input signal is too much less than DC voltage, therefore its square root will also become much lesser than that one, and we can ignore the higher order terms. Okay, I hope this is clear. 0.5 raised to 1 by 2, it will be lesser than 0.5. If it is further less than 1 by 2, that is 1 by 4, then it will be further lesser than 0.25, and so on. So you can ignore the higher order terms. Okay, so binomial expansion is used, and this condition is also used to our advantage, and ignore the higher order results. So V of T1 is given as V0 into 1 plus beta V1 upon 2 V0 sin omega T0 plus theta G by 2. How it becomes this kind of equation? Now here binomial expansion we have used, 1 plus x raised to n, that expansion we have used, and we came across this particular term. There should be some other terms also, but they are nearly equal to 0 because beta V1 is too much less than V0. Because of that, higher order terms are 0. This is the equation of velocity modulation. You can also rearrange this and find out this kind of equation in terms of T1 also, because this equation is in terms of T0. You can find it out in terms of T1 also by using the relation T1 minus T0 is equal to tau. You can use that also here and calculate this type of equation also. But the important equation is this one. Both are equally good. Okay, so this is process of velocity modulation, where we have seen exit velocity is proportional to the input microwave signal and affected by the beam coupling coefficient and depth of velocity modulation. Okay, so now after electron beam exits the buncher cavity, the bunching process will start. So once the electrons leave the buncher cavity, they drift along the tube with a velocity given by previous equation just we have seen. So it will drift along with, so the electron beam will drift along with velocity v of t1, and this is along the filled free space between the two cavities. We have made this assumption at the beginning. The drift space will be space free charge or space charge free drift space inside the between the two cavities, that we have made the assumption at the beginning. Now the effect of velocity modulation produces bunching of electron. This velocity modulation produces bunching of electron. Why? velocity modulation accelerates certain electrons and retards or deaccelerates other electrons. So some electrons are moving with a faster velocity and some are with reduced velocity. So some of them come together to create a bunch. Okay, and that is called as a current modulation also, because flow of electrons is nothing but again current. So rather than velocity modulation, simpler term can be current modulation also. The electron that passes the buncher at zero voltage travel with the unchanged velocity. This we have seen the zero gap voltage. This is zero gap voltage, that this we have seen in the previous video as well, and become the bunching center. Okay, so those who are traveling with unchanged velocity become a bunching center. There all the electrons bunch together because they are not changing their velocity. Faster electrons and slower electrons will come together at that particular point. We will see that diagram. Those electrons that pass the buncher cavity during the positive half cycle travel faster. This is also we have seen. Okay, at the distance of delta L along the beam of the buncher cavity, beam electrons have drifted into dense cluster. So some are traveling faster, some are traveling slower. So eventually they come together to create a dense cluster. So let's see how this process occurs. So this is the trajectories of minimum, zero and maximum electron acceleration. As you can see, this is a negative maxima. This is a time ta at which slowest velocity modulation or velocity you can observe. Then at Tb, no change in the velocity because this is zero of the input gap voltage, and this is Tc at which maximum voltage is considered, and there is a fastest or fastest acceleration of the electron beam is occurring. So all these combined to create a bunching center at Td. Okay, now distance between Ta and Tb is considered to be pi upon 2 omega, and Tb and Tc is pi upon 2 omega again. So next part is the distance from buncher grid to the location of dense electron bunching for electron at Tb is given by delta L. We can derive this expression for delta L, and it is started with initial velocity V0, that is unchanged velocity, and Td minus Tb. Delta L is nothing but Td minus Tb. This is Tb is a time at which no velocity change, and Td is a bunching center. So this is Td minus Tb multiplied by velocity, that gives you the distance. Okay, because distance upon velocity is nothing but time. So velocity into time is equal to distance. So that is used for calculation of delta L, V0 into Td minus Tb. Similarly, distances for electrons at Ta and Tc, delta L V minimum into Td minus Ta. So if we consider Td minus Ta, now Td minus Ta, Ta is the slowest, so minimum velocity. So V minimum, that is Greek letter V minimum into Td minus Ta will give you again delta L. Okay, similarly V maximum into Td minus Tc now, because Tc is the fastest, Tc is the time at which fastest electron velocity is observed. So V max into Td minus Tc will be again giving you delta L. Okay, you can rearrange that in terms of actual distance like this. So this is giving the values of delta L, the distance at which bunching occurs. So therefore from equation of velocity modulation, the minimum and maximum velocities are given by, we can rearrange this. V minimum is V0, that is initial velocity, into 1 minus beta I V1 upon 20. Remember, this is minus because this is minimum velocity, slower than the original velocity, and V maximum is a higher than the original velocity. Okay, so V minimum and V maximum can be calculated using these formulas. This is a formula for minimum velocity, this is formula for maximum velocity. Okay, now let's see pictorially how this bunching process occurs. Now this is a drift space as shown in the figure. Cavities are not shown, Buncher cavity is shown. The electron beam exits the Buncher cavity with V of T1. Now they move along the drift space. Now ABCD, which is shown over here, these are frames. That means they are not actually present. This is there for explanation only. We are capturing different frames through which we will see how bunching process occurs. When they enter a frame A, these are the faster electrons which are right now behind the slower electrons. Okay, so now this will start moving towards the opposite end with a faster velocity. So when they reach frame B, they are much closer, as you can see, much closer to the slower electron. Slower electrons are shown in this particular as a blue dots. It might not be visible as a color, and these are red dots. At C frame, they mix with the slower electrons somewhat. They have come much more closer, and at the D frame, both are mixed with each other because red dots are faster and blue dots are slower. Both are eventually mixed up with each other. Okay, so this is how bunching, this is called as a bunch of electrons. So that is called as a bunching process. Okay, so this is how it happens. So that is shown over here in this diagram. So this diagram shows electron bunching behavior as electrons traverse the disk space. The snapshot of the start of the transit, which is given by A frame. As we progress through B to D, the slower electron glue, that is denoted by blue dot, is progressively overtaken by the faster electron group, denoted by red dots, resulting in a period of high electron density at frame D. This is we have seen in the diagram. The result is a density modulation or bunching process proportional to the applied force on the electrons as imparted by the Buncher resonant cavity. Okay, this bunching is a result of velocity modulation as imparted by the Buncher resonant cavity. End result is effectively an RF modulated current. Why it is called as current? Because current is just a charge flow over a time after all between Buncher and the catcher. So between Buncher and the catcher, current is changing, that is faster, slower, like that. So that's why it is called as current modulation, and that is result of velocity modulation. So how this amplifies the input microwave signal, that is again question. Now we have the method to apply a alternating electrical signal, that is our microwave signal, to a capacitor. Where does capacitor come from? This Buncher cavity gap acts as a capacitor. So this is our capacitor. Applied to a capacitor that has electron beam passing through it. Through this capacitor, electron beam is passing. Capacitor either slows the electrons down or accelerates them. This electron beam is either slowed down because of this input microwave. We have seen mathematically why. Thus electron bunching occurs at the frequency of applied signal. So whatever the frequency of applied signal, based on that one, electron bunching will occur, because frequency will decide zeros, maximum and minimum. Okay, that will be decided. Now DC magnetic field will be, now that will be like this one, actual waveform. So this is my DC voltage. So our applied voltage at Buncher cavity will be like this one. This is a DC voltage V0 plus this is Vs, applied microwave signal, and because of that we will see different modulation, acceleration and downward acceleration or reducing of the velocity. Okay, now how it amplifies the signal? So now we have a microwave power amplifier based on a fact that few electrons entered the device and many more have been bunched proportional to the input signal and output via catcher cavity. So it appears as if some electrons entered and bunch of electrons exited the catcher cavity. Okay, only some electrons entered and bunch of electrons exited the catcher cavity. So this is amplification. Now this kinetic energy is converted into a grid voltage, and this is taken out as a microwave output power. Kinetic energy is transferred to a grid voltage of a catcher cavity and taken as a microwave output power. So that is amplifier. Some electrons enter, bunch of electrons exiting. These bunch of electrons have a very large velocity because of velocity modulation, and their kinetic energy is transferred, that is accelerated velocity is transferred into a electric field and taken as a output microwave power. So this is how two cavity klystron works. So in the next session we will see another type of klystron. That's all for today. Thank you.